Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode of A Dog's Soul. I'm Anita, I'm your host and a professional dog trainer, and today we're going to talk about consequences and why every behavior has a reason, so your dog doesn't do anything without use. Alright, so stay tuned and have fun. Hello again. So today's topic is kind of theoretical, but I think it's very important because sometimes we think of problem behavior, and the thing is, it's only problematic for us and not for the dog. Because the dog does something because he gets something out of it. And that can be anything, and that's where consequences come into play. So a consequence is anything that follows a behavior. And of course, consequences can be good or bad. And good consequences will make the behavior more likely to happen again. And bad consequences will make the behavior less likely to happen again. So, for example, your dog jumps at you when you come home and he gets immediate attention. That's something your dog likes, and therefore he will do the jumping again because it got him something nice. Or your dog steals food from the kitchen and has a yummy snack, and since that worked and it made him feel good, he will do the stealing again. Alright. And for bad consequences, say your dog tries to chase a rabbit and runs into an electric fence that's just there to protect crops or something like that. And this is something very hurtful, and maybe next time your dog won't chase the rabbit or whatever he brings into context with this event. So whenever something bad happens, the dog will think twice about doing the behavior that came right before the bad thing. And the tricky part with that is that we cannot really control or know what the dog connects. So that's why good trainers don't use positive punishment, so something bad, to keep the dog from doing stuff. Because if the timing is perfect and nothing else is around, the dog may connect the unwanted behavior directly with the consequence. But since we don't live in a laboratory and there are always other things around, the dog could connect anything. So I'm not sure if anybody would want the dog to connect some pain in the neck, for example, with a running child. So yeah, but the really tricky part about consequences is that we can never stop or prevent or foresee consequences, all of them. Because the environment gives us consequences as well as other people and whatever or whoever. So you see the example with the fence, you could not really control that. You can just put a leash on the dog, and with that he cannot run into the fence. But other than that, the consequence does not come from you. The consequence comes from the environment. And whenever we try to work on behavior, modify behavior, or change behavior, we should always look what is before the behavior and what comes after it. So the things that come before the behavior, so the triggers or something like that, or if you have seen the episode on antecedents, you can watch that, of course, and is something that triggers the behavior, and the consequences are the system to increase or decrease effect of the behavior. So does this work or does this not work for your dog? Another example, the dog chases a mouse as the behavior. The dog catches the mouse and eats the mouse. is the consequence, as well as endorphins released by the chase. So the dog feels good. So you see, we have two consequences, and both of them are good for the dog. He feels nice, he has a little snack that also makes him feel nice, and therefore he's very likely to do that behavior again because it has a positive outcome. So the important message behind this is you should always keep a look at the consequences as well as the antecedents, because if you want to change a behavior, you should know why your dog is doing this and what is reinforcing the behavior. Because if you want your dog to stop it, you should cut out the reinforcers, of course. Therefore, you have to identify the reinforcers first. And of course, if you want your dog to do something and he just doesn't want to, you can look for the antecedents and the consequences that happen to your dog, and then you can understand why your dog doesn't want. For example, you ask your dog to sit, your dog sits down, and due to a bad hip, there is some pain in his joints. And the next time you ask him to sit, he just doesn't want to do it. So if you have a close look at the last time you asked this, and you can realize that maybe there was some pain or something like that, and it was a bad consequence for him, that's why he doesn't want to sit down anymore. And then you can work against that. So every little step in the right direction will get rewarded so extremely well that your dog realizes that the reinforcements or events could be bad. So of course, it's always about weighing the good versus the bad. And if the good wins, your dog will do what you ask. And of course, if you have two good consequences for two different behaviors and you want your dog to do one thing and your dog wants to do another thing, your positive consequence should be higher than the one of the other behavior. For example, your dog wants to run up to another dog and greet that one, and you want your dog to look at you, then you have to provide a really nice reinforcer so your dog will decide for you and not for the other. So you see, consequences are something you can play with and you can just test out and see what works for your dog and for you, of course. And whenever you're not sure what you could use as a reinforcer, you can just try to use your dog's hobbies. You can make a list of those and then cross out anything you don't like, and the rest of it would be your reward list and positive consequences for your dog to work with. With that in mind, training will become a lot more easy and you will understand a lot better why your dog is doing something, and you can have a lot of fun with different consequences and different reinforcers and rewards. If you have any questions for that, or if you want to have an example list of consequences or of reinforcers you could use, send me a message, and of course I will get back to you and provide you with an example list for that. And of course, if you want any topics discussed on the show, you can also write me a message and I'll be happy to take your topic into the show and talk about it a little bit. All right, so have fun with your reinforcers and with working with your dog. Bye!